Hello, people. This is Mark from Kharischangeworks, and Lara as well. She's joining in. I feel like a bit of a bully at the minute, demanding her time and asking her to participate. But folks, I really believe that this topic that we're discussing at the minute is important to get at least a number of views. Now, if I had a third person that could engage with this in this discussion, it would have been great. Hence the request of put the comments in the comments box when you do the YouTube admin, please. Let's look at this one. We've addressed the issue of what goes around comes around, that boomerang. It's the same as sowing the seed. When you sow apple seed, an apple tree is going to come up. When you sow a banana seed, banana tree, and so on. Now, as people, we are going to make mistakes. We are not perfect. You will find that there are some people who strive for excellence, and then you get people who doesn't even know that the word excellence even exists. Now, in regards to what goes around comes around, today I've been thinking about what happens, and this is where I want Lara's input also. In fact, we might do a number of these little videos or longer videos, as you might have noticed. What happens when there's an interaction and the person that you are dealing with at the time is somewhat different to how they normally are? Okay, and your behavior, your verbal expression is also not how you normally would speak to that person, as if they have become the trigger for your bad attitude, bad language, bad behavior. They become the trigger. But at that point, you don't know what's going on in their little world. Their universe is experiencing thunderstorms, whilst yours is enjoying sunshine. So whilst they are in that thunderstorm environment and they are a little bit snappy at you, let's pretend, and you react in a way that is not normal for you, let's just say. And I want to focus on that for a second. And you start speaking nastily to that person. You start thinking horrible thoughts. And you might do things that they don't normally would expect from you, or that you don't expect from yourself. What do we do in a situation like that? What's your thoughts, Lara?
The automatic response, or the normal response, would be to apologize. But you and I both know that nowadays people find it very hard to say I'm sorry or I apologize, because of the self-centeredness and selfishness that is around the world currently, and it seems to become a way of life. People find it very hard to apologize because social media, society has said, well, don't worry, we'll tolerate you. We'll be tolerant of what you think. So therefore that makes you perfect. So why must I apologize to you? So you've got a whole different approach to life to what is actually the reality of the situation. So I think people are just too self-centered and selfish to say I'm sorry. And a lot of people, especially narcs, can't say I'm sorry or apologize. They'll apologize in other ways, but they cannot say the words, which is concerning because there's a trend, and it's been scientifically noted that as a result of lockdown, a lot of narcs have been exposed because of the close environment they are with their families, with their friends in a household. So it's a lot of this self-centeredness, I guess.
Yes, I think you're right. Let's while you were talking there, I just had a couple of words in my head that was bouncing around like a ping pong ball. As it does, right? So you don't really want to apologize, but you do. Or you find it incredibly difficult to apologize. The words that kind of bounced around in my head is embarrassment.
Yes.
I feel embarrassed to apologize. Now, I did some IEMT training, as you know, approximately a year or so ago. And the whole idea about embarrassment is knowing that you know better,
Yes.
but you've made such a boo-boo of things that you are walking around with blushed cheeks and you feel ashamed of what a mistake you've made, and you feel embarrassed as a result. And I wonder whether that is part of the reasons why people simply cannot say, I'm sorry. Compared to, oh, sorry, go.
I agree and I don't agree, because most normal people would apologize, let's put it that way. But when you're a narc or somebody who believes 150% that you're right and that person's wrong, regardless that your behavior was incorrect or wrong, it's all about, I'm right, you're wrong. I don't want to apologize. Why should I apologize?
Yes.
You know, it's a belief system that you're dealing with. It's not just an emotion.
I was heading down that line as it happened. Right. The reason why I phrased my question that way is because for most people, not knock, for most people, can't believe I've done that. Right? Oh, and it's like, I don't know how to say sorry to you. So I'm going to just say it, I'm sorry. For non-knock category people, that's not too bad.
Yes.
But we are still dealing with the embarrassment factor and the shame factor. And dare I say that some people will even feel guilty because they've mistreated their best friend, their spouse, their family member, their children in a very horrible way.
Yeah.
And then they become angry, and then they could end up being bitter if it's not dealt with. So I think that's part of the reason. But it boils down to this thing. The narcs believe that they are right. It's a here thing, isn't it? It's a belief.
Yes.
Where other people, they may know, the narcs know here that they're wrong, but this overrides this
Correct.
in the narc world.
Mhm.
But we need to deal with the heart issue, the spirit, like what we've mentioned before. We need to deal with the spirit issue.
Yes.
And it's easy to say, when you're right, you're right, and when you're wrong, you're wrong. Apologize when you're wrong, and be humble when people give you compliments when you do things right.
Mm.
Be humble
I agree.
about it. Just be humble about it.
Yes.
So what do? So we apologize. Now, I would add to that and say, for some people, and a verbal apology is not enough.
Mm.
Because as we discussed in the previous video, the narc will say sorry, but it is paper thin in its integrity.
Mm.
Because tomorrow that apology means nothing. It's like candy floss.
Yeah.
Now, to me, when you truly apologetic, not only will you say the words, geez, man, husband, wife, child, brother, sister, friend, whatever, I am really sorry. I mistreated you.
Mm.
But to qualify that, there will be a change in how that person reacts or
Yes.
behaves. So that to me becomes the qualifier that
Mm.
people have truly apologized. Or maybe that's down the far end of apologies, but maybe let's pretend you and I are married, or we're going out of some sort, and I apologize you. I know. And I say something that really upsets you.
Mm.
And now you're getting angry with me because I've had some bad news at work or whatever the case might be. And there's this bubble up of stuff. And I apologize to you. But
Yes.
I know from experience that you're not someone that necessarily accepts a verbal apology.
Mm.
I might say to you, come on, babe, I'm going to take you out for a meal. Or let's go to the cinema. Or, you know, there will be some kind of, the verbal apology will take place, and then there will be dare I say, like a reward.
A confirmation. Yeah. Yeah.
To demonstrate, man, I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
Most people, that's okay also, but you'll get these
Yeah.
handful of people that will demand everything. The verbal apology, the written apology, the go out for a meal and you pay for everything and you're going to do the dishes for a week, and you know, there's this whole thing, isn't it?
They go to the extreme. Yeah. Yeah.
So what I want to say, folks, here is, I know we've gone on about it a little bit, but consider, we're not always right.
Mm.
We need to behave in a way that is congruent to ourselves. What happens with the sender of the messages, that's not really our problem. But whatever message gets sent, how we react to that is vitally important, because that's the one that gets recorded by those two secretaries. That is the boomerang or the seed that we sow.
Correct.
Now, when you make a mistake, regardless if it is a petty mistake that you know that has upset your lover, your child, or a loved one, a family friend, whatever, when you see that what you've done is not right in terms of how you normally are, and they are offended by your behavior, apologize.
Absolutely.
Make things right.
Mm.
The biblical word for it is called repentance and forgiveness. When you apologize, and in some cases, like we said earlier, there's this add-on, this qualifier to the person that you've offended, that speaks volumes about you as a person, as far as the importance of the relationship is concerned and how much you value the other person. It speaks volumes.
Mm.
Likewise, if you don't value the relationship and you don't value that person, if you don't do something to repair it, that too speaks volumes.
Correct.
Either way, that's a choice. It's an action. It's a sowing of seed. It's that boomerang that's being released.
Yes.
Now, to my mind, as bent and twisted as it might come across at times, repairing relationships is vitally, vitally, vitally important. Like I said to my eldest daughter not too long ago, if you haven't got your family when things are good, you will not have your family when you need them when things are bad.
That's correct. Mm.
And that is based on, folks, how you treat people or how you don't treat people. It's based on that boomerang, that seed. It just happens that way. It is a law. We can't change it. If it means you feel embarrassed and ashamed, that's an issue that you need to deal with in terms of, I need to overcome this because I value the relationship. I value the friendship. I value that person. And if they really mean a lot to you, that whoever they might be, the cost of embarrassment is petty. It's nothing compared to the value of the friendship or the relationship. But by not doing it is also putting that little cancerous cell in that relationship that will grow and grow and grow because it's a seed. Apologize and demonstrate the apology.
Absolutely.
As we said before, time is the most precious commodity. And when you apologize, it will save you maybe hours, minutes, days, could even be years of pain.
Yes.
Because you've dealt with it at its infancy.
Correct.
Rather than wait for years even, and then having to deal with all that pain that's lasted from infancy to where you are, the current moment. That could be years. That is pain.
Yes.
That embarrassment, that stubbornness is not worth the effort. Because you'll never get that time back. In a previous job, I've spoken to people and they've said, oh, how I wish I could have time with so-and-so over, I would not have done that.
Yeah.
And when do we hear words of a similar ilk? Funerals.
Yes.
I wish I could have them back. I would tell them that I love them a little bit more often. I would tell them that I appreciated them a little bit more frequently. I wouldn't have argued about the fact that the potatoes were boiled too soft, or they weren't boiled enough. Man, oh man. And then you get these things called guilt and remorse, because now they can do nothing about it, because that person can't accept the apology, because they might be sadly passed away.
Yes.
And that, in my mind, and I'm sure Lara is the same, that is a price that is too much to pay. It's a high price.
Mm-hmm.
Where the embarrassment factor is pittance compared to that price.
Correct.
So this video here, the content in this video is simply there to encourage you and remind you that the folks in your life are there because you want them there.
Yes.
You've allowed them access to your circles. And how you treat them, whether it be regarding a good thing and when things don't go so well, how you treat them will be the barometer by which you can indicate the value of that friendship.
Yes.
Now you decide where that barometer is. You decide the value. What price tag are you going to put on that friend, that spouse, that loved one? You decide, because that ultimately is the driving force that will say, I'm going to do the right thing, or I'll think about it.
Correct. Totally agree.
Folks, people, please. Times are running out. People are important. Relationships are vital. During this lockdown process, so many folks have lost loved ones, friends, and so on. And if I were to do a survey globally now, I reckon that if I were to record the people who would say, oh, I wish I could have them in my presence for another half an hour, I would choose to speak about fun things, exciting things. I would not argue about the car being parked in a stupid way, or who's going to take out the trash today or tomorrow. Death is a funny thing. It brings out priorities. It changes your perspective because of the grief that people experience. It is as if the lights turn on in life and we realize time's ticking.
Yes.
We're all getting older at the same rate, at the same time. And we all have to face that point in our lives where we say goodbye to this world. But for whilst we are here, folks, please do the right thing. Even if it costs you shame and embarrassment, it's worth it. Yes. You'll never get that time back. It's gone. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what this little video series is all about. We need to make the most of this.
Correct.
We need to make the most of it because it's running out. And what goes around, my friend, comes around. There's always a reward for what we do, whether it be a good reward or a not such a fancy reward. It's like consequences. There's always a consequence to what we do. Sometimes we get excited and happy and we feel blessed because of the consequence of our actions. But when there's a negative consequence to our actions, now we're talking a different ball game altogether. And rewards, my friend, is like that consequence. We need to think about the people in our lives and how much we value them. So this is all about apologizing and making things right between you and whoever is in that bubble of your social circle, because it speaks volumes of you.
Yes.
It's about you. And that is the content of this video. If we were to write a price tag out, what would you write it about your husband, your wife, your child, your brother, your sister? Consider that for a second. Now I wonder what they would write on the price tag when they consider you.
Correct. Yeah.
That too is something to bear in mind.
Absolutely.
So that's it, folks. YouTube admin, like, share, subscribe, tell everybody, comment, hit the bell, pick all. You know exactly what to do. From the pair of us, this is Mark and Lara from Kharischangeworks.
Hi.
And we will speak to you soon.